Yesterday we learned the machlokes. We had a machlokes between Rav and Rav Kahana, whether 50% is considered 51% or not. The question was, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Moshe Rabbeinu? Did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Moshe Rabbeinu, I want you to shecht roiv, I want you to shecht 51%, or HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, don't leave over 51%, which would mean that if you shecht 50%, that's enough. Says the Gemara, Toshma, bring you a raya. Shochat chatzi gargeres v'shoho bo kedei shchita acheres. The Gemara, we had this brayz yesterday. He shechted half of the kana. Half of the kana. What happens if you shecht half of the kana? It's not a problem. And he waited the shear of shehiyah, which is as long as it takes to shecht an animal. How long does it take to shecht an animal? A couple of seconds, let's say. So he waited a couple of seconds. He paused. Ugemara, and then he finished off the shchita. Shchita sikshera. It's a good shchita. Why? Because when he started out and he only did 50%, that was nothing. A kana that's only cut 50%, it's not a treifa. And then when he finished the shchita, he finished it off properly. As the Gemara, however, if you hold that 50% is considered 51%, itarvela. So by cutting half of the kana, you created a treifa here. How could you finish off the treifa? It's no good. Says the Gemara, misavers behema bebehema loy ba'oif. We're not discussing an animal, we're discussing a bird. And therefore, mimanav shach. If you say that 50% is considered 51%, by a bird which you only have to shecht one of the two simanim, so either way you look at it. If you say 50% is considered 51%, so when he shechted 50%, that's it. He performed the shechita. Finished the shechita. If you don't view it as roiv, you just say it's 50%, then by him cutting the trachea 50%, he didn't render it treif b'chlal. So you could cut a trachea 50%, wait a few seconds, and then continue the rest. This, I have a little bit of a problem. I didn't see anybody really speak about it, but we had a Rashi earlier on, I think we have the same Rashi later on, Daf Lamed Aleph. Rashi says that even if you say by you guys were discussing it with me once in the middle of this year, even if you say that 51% is a roiv, and you mekayim the shchita, Rashi says, but if you go further and you do hagrama after that roiv, it makes the shchita no good. Over here you see not like that. Over here you see, I could do a shchita roiv, and then I pause, I do shehiyah, and then I continue. Wait a minute, the shehiyah ruined. You're right. If you do 51% and you go home, there's a good shechita. But Rashi says that even if you do 51%, it's good. But you continue doing something bad after the 51%, you ruin the shechita, Rashi says. As long as you continue. Over here it seems like you don't ruin it. Fine. Toshma. This we had as well. You have one of the simanim, which we said doesn't become treif unless you have a roiv. So his kana was pagum and had a hole in it. And then this guy came along and all he did was hoisif kolshu ugmara. He finished off the kana. He finished off the shchita. He went, let's say the animal had a cut trachea 50%. He came and he did 1% of shchita. That's all you need to do, and the shchita is considered a good shchita. It's a valid shchita. Shchita sikshera. V'amris meftzam mechza karoiv treif avi. If this trachea is already 50% cut, and Rav holds that 50% is considered 51%, so then this animal is a treif. It had a 51% cut in its trachea before the shechita started. It's a treif. So how could he correct it? Omer Rava, shani lin in treifa. I can make a distinction between shechita and treifa. By shechita, all you need is 50%, but by treifa you need 51%. And that's similar to what you were saying yesterday. That maybe by treifa, you need to be able to visually see it. And you need 51%. You need to see it, and if it's not 51%, it's just 50%, you can't see it with your eye. That doesn't make any sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Why? I have a kavachomer. You have a treifa that sometimes treifa is even with a pinhole. Where? In the esophagus, in the lungs, in the intestines, if there's a pinhole, that's enough to make it completely treif. But there's other treifas that you need a roiv. So are you going to tell me that sometimes a pinhole is enough? Sometimes you need a roiv, but not just a roiv, such a large roiv that you can see with your eyes. But by shechita that you always need a roiv, that you don't need to see with your eyes. If part of the treifa you can get away with, not get away with, we're so machmer that even a pinhole sometimes makes it treif. So then why, when you need a roiv, you need such a big roiv that you have to see with your eyes? That doesn't make sense. But with shechita, no. Shechita you don't have to see with your eyes. Shechita you always need a roiv and you don't need to see with your eyes. Treifa that sometimes a pinhole is enough, you do need to see with your eyes a roiv. That doesn't make sense. That you always need a roiv. So certainly you should need to see with your eyes. So maybe your svara of treifa, making the distinction that treifa you need to see with your eyes, and shchita you don't need to see with your eyes, doesn't make sense to me, says Abai. Elo, now finally the Gemara says, okay, relax. This whole machloikus that we said that 50% is considered 51% doesn't apply not only in the rest of the Torah, but even by us. There is no such machloikus, really. Of course, as we understood to begin with before the sugya started, you always need a roiv, a real roiv. Not 50% is considered 51%. There's no such thing. So why did Rav say it is considered 51%? Not that it's considered 51%, just it's considered a tzibur, so to speak. Where do we have this halacha by Pesach? So the halacha by Korban Pesach is, as we know, if somebody is tamei erev Pesach and he can't bring a Korban Pesach, so that's why we have Pesach Sheni. He could bring the Korban Pesach Sheni. What if most of Klal Yisrael is tamei? Then everybody brings it. What do you say? Everybody brings the Korban Pesach erev Pesach.
But you can't eat it.
No, you could. Why not?
You can eat it?
Yeah. You have to eat it. You're mechuyev to eat it. Korban Pesach you have to eat. Now, what if there's 2,012,000 people in Klal Yisrael and 1,006,000 are tamei and 1,006,000? You count it. The kitzur, it's a large number. You have to do it's 50-50. Exactly 50-50. What happens? Over here is the machlokes Rav and Rav Kahana. Itmar, harei shahoy Yisrael mechza tahorim or mechza tmeim. Exactly 50-50. Rav Omar mechza al mechza keroiv. Rav says that everybody brings it Erev Yontif, but in two groups. There's the group of Tahar and the group of Tamei. Rav Kahana Omar, Mechza al Mechza Eini Keroiv. Rav Kahana says the 50% have to wait to Pesach Sheni. V'hasa my timer.
Don't just take one guy and make him Tomer. Not push him over the job. Get hold of that.
You're not allowed to make yourself Tamei. You don't make him tamei. It's like we had in yeshiva. There's a guy. We came into Beis Medrash after the meal, and there's a guy standing there with his hand like this on the shelf. So like this is the guy that made Ashiyotzer. It took him 3 minutes every Ashiyotzer. So I asked him, well, what's going on? He said that he put his hand in between the shelves and he lifted up the shelf like 2 inches, and now all of a sudden he realizes it's Shabbos, and if he moves his hand, it's muktzah. It's going to fall. So he's there for an hour, and the whole yeshiva is going back and forth, and they're opening up Shulchan Aruch and this and that. And they said we should go to Rosh Yeshiva. Ask Rosh Yeshiva, middle of the night, wake up the Rosh Yeshiva. The guy can't stand there. No. So one guy, my roommate, he says, you know what? I have an idea. Each of us will take over. Each one will do half an hour. What's the problem? So great idea. So let's switch up hands. He switched up hands and he goes, oof, he fell. Shalom, finished. So this guy, we could have brought him to the Pesach. And this guy would volunteer to become Tummy, no problem. He was like, by mistake he touched Tumah, and then the whole Klal Yisrael is fine. I hear. Listen, until you get to this play, until you can bar mitzvah till it's millions and millions. How are you going to count exactly? It's never going to happen. It's a theoretical question, right? You have 50%. So Rav, so what's v'hasa my time of the Rav? It's not pshat. The Rav holds that 50% is considered 51%? Because even yesterday we had the svar, you can't say 50% twice. You can't say 51% on the same thing. You can't say 51% of Klal Yisrael's tahar and 51% of Klal Yisrael's tummy, because then you have 102%. You can only say 50% equals 51% if you're doing one thing, one item, one cut in a pipe. But to say that two parts of Klal Yisrael are 51%, that doesn't make sense anyways. So what is the reason? Ish. It says ish like lashon yachid ki etamei lo nefesh. Ish nitcha. Individual gets pushed off to Pesach Sheni. Ve'ein tzibur nitchin. And if you have 50% of Klal Yisrael, that's considered tzibur, and you don't push off a tzibur to the following Pesach. Says the Gemara. We learned in the Mishnah roiv echod ba'oif. So this is the first time that I ever did this. I printed out the Mishnah because we're going to have here 5 tirutzim, 5 pshatim in the Gemara, maybe more, and we have to go back to the Mishnah a little bit. So instead of everybody going back, it makes it a little bit easier, I think. So the Mishnah starts off on Daf Chav Zayin, the beginning of the parak. Hashoichet echad ba'if. If you shecht one siman in a bird, rushnai bebehema shchitasik sheira. All you need is one siman by a bird, 2 simanim by a behema, and then the Mishnah finishes off the reisha. Veruba shalechot kamayu. Roiv is enough. Now what do we have in the Sefer? Same Mishnah. First we have the halacha of Rabbi Yehuda says, Ad sheyishchot es avridim, that's a continuation of the reisha. And then it says, Roiv echot ba'oif, veroiv shnayim bebehema shchitasik sheira. So it's literally word for word. Ruba shalechot kamayu, this is the last blue line. And then over here in blue, Roiv echad ba'oif, Roiv shnayim bebehema. So why is the Mishnah doubling up here? Says the Gemara. Tanina chad zimna, Ruba shalechad kamayu. So Hekesh, Peshach, the 6 tirutzim here. Omar Rav Oishia. The first one is a hey. Omar Rav Oishia chada bechulin vechada bekachim. So this actually is the entire sugya. Nobody's mechulak on this. One of these is kachim. One of these is chulin. And the Gemara is just going to discuss which one is what. But everybody at the end holds that the beginning of the Mishnah, this is chulin, and this is kachim. So in other words, if you're in the Beis HaMikdash and you shecht roiv of the simanim, it's a carbon, it works. And if you're in a shachtois, if you're just shechting for badat, you do roiv, it's also considered rubik kekuloi, and that's the seifa. Just the Gemara is going to bring rayas. How do we know that the reisha is chulin and the seifa is kachim? It's 5 rayas that are being medayik from the Mishnah. Nobody argues on that. And why do I need 2 separate lashonas, two a reisha and a seifa for that? Why can't they just be included in one halacha? Rubik kekuloi, says the Gemara. Diashmin chulin. I would think that chulin, you could get away with just cutting most of the pipes. Mishum, the lav l'dam utzarich. By chulin, I don't need blood at all. I don't have to do zrika. So I have to be mekayim the mitzvah of kisi adam. I'll be mekayim the kisi adam with whatever blood comes out. Aval kachim, the l'dam utzarich. But kachim, there's a mitzvah of hazah. Maybe I need the entire pipe. V'yashmin and kachim. And if I just said halacha by kachim, that roiv is enough. Mishum de l'dam utzarich. Maybe I need so much. I need a majority of the pipes cut because I need a lot of blood. Avachulin de l'dam lo yitzarich. But chulin doesn't require blood, just a little bit for kisi adam. Ema bepal gesagale. Maybe I could get away with less than a roiv. Komashmal, and that's why I have a reish and a seifa. Now the Gemara asks the question: Hey bechulin, hey bekachim. I want to know which one, the reisha or the seifa, is chulin kachim. Why? Because this is the reisha, and right after the reisha says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Ad sheyishchoit es avridim. You have to cut the jugular veins, and that goes on the reisha. So is Rabbi Yehuda referring to chulin, that you have to cut the jugular veins, or is he referring to kachim? Omer Rav Kahana mistaber reisha bechulin v'seifa bekachim, and like everybody says the same thing. Just the different rice. That what the Reish is talking about chulin, and Rabbi Yehuda was referring to you have to cut the vridin by chulin. V'seifa bekachim. Mimai, what's my raya? Midiktani hashoichet. Look at this first word. Hashoichet echad ba'oif. Now, if we're talking about the Beis Hamikdash, what should the first word be? Hamoilek echad ba'oif. So obviously we're talking about Chullin. What do I do with the Sefer? So the Sefer is talking about the Beis Hamikdash. It also says Shoichet over here. Shchita Kshera. Says the Gemara, yeah, but look, the red is talking about a behema. So the Shchita is referring on the behema. You're right. It should have said Malika, but it goes closer to the behema. Fine. Let's see inside. Memai. Midik Dani HaShoichet. Viso gedai t'chureisha b'kotchim. Hamoilek miboilei. Elamai Sefer b'kotchim. Shchita Kshera. It should say Milikasik Kshera miboilei. It should say, first of all, it should say that you shech the animal, and also the Mishnah should add words, and the Malika is kosher. Since the Sefer mentions behema, and immediately afterwards shchita, so it makes sense. Ela Reisha, the Reisha is only referring to a bird. If you actually think it was talking about kachim, it should have said moilik. So therefore, it makes sense that the Reisha is talking about chulin and the Sefer is talking about kachim. Rav Shimon bar Ashi Amar Reisha b'chulin mahacha. I have another Rai, says Rav Shimon bar Ashi. That's the shin in hekesh. Shimi. Reisha b'chulin mahacha diktoni echad ba'oif. It says in the Reisha one siman in a bird. V'yisok edaitoch, right here. Hashoichet echad ba'oif in blue. If we're talking about kachim, there's two birds by kachim. This is the oila and this is the chatas. The oila you have to cut two simanim. The chatas you only cut one. So why would the Mishnah just talk about one out of the two birds? Echad. By oila, it's not true. You have to cut both. Elamai, sefer b'kachim. So you're telling me, okay, so obviously the reish is chulin, the sefer is kachim, but what do you gain? In the sefer it also says roiv echad ba'oif. In the sefer it also says the word echad and not two. Says the Gemara, my roiv echad, roiv kol echad ve'echad. So if you look over here, I stuck in a little square with a line, a fancy line that goes on an angle, that you're supposed to insert the word kol here. It's as if this word is inserted. Roiv kol echad. He's sitting right next to me, you can barely see it. So good luck for everybody else. I'll put it over here, maybe you look at it in the video later. Roiv kol echad ba'oif. In other words, what it's saying in the Mishnah is each and every siman needs a roiv. Yes, you're shechting both simanim, but each one needs a roiv. In the Reishi, you can't put that word kol. It's not going to fit. Hashoichet kol echad ba'oif doesn't work. If you're saying roiv kol echad, that works. Hashoichet kol echad doesn't work. Says the Gemara, b'dinu d'lisni roiv shnayim. And really, it should say roiv shnayim. Kiven the ikko chatas sasagle b'chad simon. Shomachei lepsikelei. So we have a big problem. Since we're talking about two birds, one bird is two simanim, another bird is one siman. It's very hard for us to write it in the Mishnah. What are you going to write? You can't write, two simanim, one siman. So Mela, I didn't say anything. Mishomachei lepsikelei. Fine. Rav Papa Omar. And in the siman it's hekesh peshach, so that's the pei. Rav Papa reisha bechulin mahacha. The Ketani Reb Yehuda oimer achi yishchet esavridin. In the reisha, this is the reisha, no room on there. So in green it says, Reb Yehuda says you have to shech the vridim. It's very small. Did you guys see the green over here? It's too small. Fine. Yeah, you could see it. These guys, Adam. Okay. When we get the screen one day. Fine. By the way, Rabbi Isai, I just want to remind everybody, today is what?
To drain out the blood, yeah. Just meaning you have to get the blood out.
That's not what I was trying to say, though. I was just making a public announcement that it's Menachem Mata's son's bris today. It's in Havas Tzion on Nachal Timna 2 at 9 o'clock. He's also the film Magichir, so he promised big kibudim for whoever comes.
I was there at Chassidim.
Oh, it's chutzpah. You should have done it for. Oh, Chassidim is the official minyan of this year. Okay. Says the Gemara. Rav Papa Amar Reish B'chulim Mahachad Diktani Rabbi Yehuda Iman Sheish Chasav Ridim. Upligi Rabban Alei. Rabbi Yehuda says you have to make, when you do shechita, not only do you do shechita, you have to also cut the jugular vein. Rabbanan seem to be mechulik on that. Now, it makes sense that Rabbi Yehuda says it by chulin and Rabbanan are mechulik. Eliyavis b'kachim, I might plead Rabbanan alei, who atzmei l'damut tzarech. Rabbanan agree that you need a lot of blood, so why would they argue with Rabbi Yehuda? Why don't they agree with him? They have to cut the jugular vein to get all the blood out, so we have enough blood for Zrika. Rav Ashi Omar, this is the motivation, I guess. Rav Ashi Omar Seife b'kachim hacha. Viktani, it says in the following Mishnah, Daf Lamed, Hashoichet shnei roshim ke'echad shchitasik sheira. A person has a very long knife. He doesn't want to waste any time. He lines up two animals. He has a special box. They don't move, and he just, in one swift move, he shechs both necks. Kosher or not kosher? Shchitasik sheira. Hashoichet. It seems like the Eved in the Chatchila Loi, it says Hashoichet, after the fact. If he went ahead and he shechted two cows, then it works. But you shouldn't do it lechatchila. Now, why not? If I say that we're talking about kochim, it makes sense that you shouldn't do it lechatchila. Why? Because I have a pasuk. But if it's chulin, then there's no reason why a person shouldn't be able to shech two animals in one. What is he doing wrong? He's shechting two necks in one shot. The only reason I can come up with that it's b'di'evet is because there's a word. What's the word? The Tani Mishon Tani Rav Yosef Tizbach. Shelo yishnayim shochtim zevach echad. Tizbachu shelo yechad shochet shnei zvachim. So it goes like this. I didn't have time, unfortunately. I wanted to do something really nice, but I got stuck.
How does that prove for chulin?
It doesn't prove for chulin. This Tizbacheyu is talking about shlamim. You should shech the shlamim. So in shlamim, don't shech two people, two karbanos. But in chulin, it's fine. So the word in the pasuk is on the bottom here. I literally didn't even have time to switch it up on top, because I was doing the kudos and never did the kudos before. I had to steal. I made from this shuruk this tzeira over here. You can't even tell. But anyways, the word is tizbachuhu. Now we know yeshem le'mesoyres, yeshem le'mikra. The way we read it is aim le'mikra tizbachuhu, which would seem plural. Many of you could shecht. The Gemara is saying that we're going to go with aim le'mesoyres, the way it is written. If you get rid of the nekudos, then, and you don't know if, like in a regular Gemara without nekudos, these words seem the same, right? What does it say here? Does it say it any different? No. It says tizbachehu, tizbachu. Right? Yeah. So now, I overheard what you said. 100%. I learned in Skver. I'm not making the story up. We were learning Kiddushin. I love this story. We were learning Kiddushin. It was the sugya of if a woman says Hare Atam Kudishli, and then or he says it to her, or what if she gives it to him? So the Rebbe said like this: Nusanhi v'umrahi, Ada umarhi v'nusahi, Nusnahi v'umrahi, Ada umahi v'umahi. So what? It was all he. It was like, what's the difference? I don't get it, Rebbe. So it's inside. It's yesh aim l'mesoyres. Fine, or l'mikra. That's l'mikra. Fine. So if you get rid of this shuruk, this malupim, call whatever you want, then it comes out like this, tizbacheyu. It's singular. It's tizbachu. Okay, so let's see inside. So we have two halachas here. Tizbach, if you just go with tizbach instead of tizbachu, tizbach means that's two people, tizbach. A singular person should do the shechita, not two people. Tizbachu shelo ye'echad shoichet shnei zvachim. Who? Tizbach, who you should shecht it, singular, only one animal, not two animals. V'amar Rav Kahana, and Rav Kahana explains, how do I learn this? Tizbacheyu ksiv. If you go with aim l'mesoyres, then and you get rid of the nekudos, then you have tizbacheyu, which is singular. That's only in shlamim, in kachim. Eli Avers b'Chullin, but there's no source in Chullin that you can't check two animals together. Afilu chatchila nami. V'avir Rabbi Shimon Lakish Savar Reisha b'Chullin b'Seifa b'Kodshim. Davar Rabbi Shimon Lakish Ma'achar sheshaninu ruba yishalechot kamayu lama shaninu roiv echad ba'oiv roiv shnayim behema. So he asks the same question. Why do I have a Reish and a Seifa? Lefi sheshaninu, because we learned Hevi Elois hatamid. They brought the Kohen Gadol Yom Kippur the carbon tamid karatzoi. So he shechts it. He begins the shchita. Umeirak acher shchitas hayadai, and then he gives it over because he's so busy doing so much that the Kohen Gadol does part of the shchita and he gives the rest to somebody else to finish off. The Gemara is going to explain exactly what happened there. What if he didn't? What if that second guy didn't finish it off? I think that the shchita is possible. Because what did the Kohen Gadol do? The Kohen Gadol shechted roiv. So I need from the Mishnah to tell me. The Sefer of the Mishnah says that if the Kohen Gadol only did roiv, it's enough, even if the second guy didn't finish off the job. So that's why, that's the final pshat. That's why I need the Reish and the Sefer. The Sefer tells us that if the Kohen Gadol passes off his carbon tamid to somebody else, and that somebody else misses the boat, doesn't shecht it, it's still kosher, because all you need is a roiv. Now the Gemara goes into those exact words that we just said. On Mamar, we just learned Yochol loy meirak ye apostle. Imkein, as the Gemara havila avoda ba'acher. The halacha is that all the avodas in Yom Kippur have to be done by the Kohen. Now, why can't you give it to? If you give it to somebody else, then the Kohen Gadol is not performing the avodah. Now, Tosfos points out that we're talking about carbon tamid, and the carbon tamid is not part of the avodah of Yom Kippur. It's a carbon they bring every single day. So in that carbon, actually somebody else could do it. So he says, okay, we're talking about midrabanan. He asks a question about ein shnayim shechtim kechad. Fine. Says the Gemara. Imkein havel avodah ba'acher. V'tanya kol avodas Yom Kippur meaning shor sel boy. The halacha is Kohen Gadol has to perform all the avodas. Says the Gemara chikamar. You're right. Enochanami midaraisa, of course, it's okay because the Kohen Gadol performed it. Now, I would think that there's a psul midarabanan. Why? Why? Because I should get out all the blood. I should have a lot of blood here. I need more blood. So no, I don't need that much. It's not ma'akiv. As the Gemara, there's no midaraisa. He said it's 100% kosher. And there's not even a psul d'Rabbanan, lamali l'marek. So then why in the world is he giving off the carbon to the second kohen to finish off the shechita? Says the Gemara, mitzvah l'marek. It's just a mitzvah. Why, says Rashi, to have more blood? But it's not ma'akiv, and it's not a psul d'Rabbanan, it's nothing.
So which part is the mitzvah? That he should start it?
No, that he should start is the chiyuv. That the second guy finishes it off in order to squeeze out more blood. That's a mitzvah. To have more blood is a mitzvah. If he doesn't do it, it's not the end of the world. Omar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Mishum Levi Sava, Eino le'shchita ela b'asayf. New sugya. When we view shchita, let's say shchita in slow motion takes 20 seconds, is the shchita considered that he started the shchita in the beginning and it goes throughout the entire shchita and it ends at the end? Or the shechita is only at the end. Nafkemina, as the Gemara is going to say, what if he started the shechita outside the Beis Hamikdash and finished it off inside the Beis Hamikdash?
Or on Shabbos?
Shabbos to Sunday, you mean? He finished it off on Shabbos. He was over. Well, either way, he'd be. No. So if you say shechita basoif, he's over. You say shechita. I don't understand the question exactly. How does it help us?
Before Shabbos, he went into
No. No. Started on your question is only if he started on Shabbos and ended on Sunday, because if shchita is basoif, so he didn't do any shchita at all. He finished it off on Sunday. Maybe he shouldn't be chayv. I hear. Nice. The entire process of shchita is considered part of shchita. Now, the Gemara just says, before we get into any questions on anybody, the Gemara just establishes a few rules here that everybody agrees on a few things. Amar Rava, Hakol Moedim, even the man of Ahmed that says that shchita is all the way at the end, he would admit, Heiche de shachat simen echad goy. What if a guy comes along and shechs one out of the two simanim? If you hold that shechita is only at the end, then let's pretend the guy didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Now the Jew comes along and shechs the second siman. That's it. Shechita b'soif. No, it's a good shechita? No way. Why? Everybody agrees it's possible. Why? Because the guy made it treif. Forget about that. He's not considered anything, but lemaisa he made it treif. Everybody agrees in the oila sa'if that a bird oila requires shechting both simanim. So heichad the malak siman echad lemato v'siman echad lemalo psula. I love this. I don't have to print this anymore. Just pull it out, recycle. So we have the mizbeach. The oila sa'if has to be done above the red line. This is the chut hasikra for the new guys. Whoever knows this thing about peh, raise your hand. We won't bring it next time. Chut hasikra. Chatas goes below the red line. Oila sa'if goes above the red line. What if this guy, this cheverman, did a shchita one siman below the red line and one siman above the red line?
This guy again.
Yeah, that guy.
We missed you.
10 minutes.
Yeah. I was sitting at the barber 2 days ago, and there's this guy that looked exactly like Levi Friedman sitting by me. He's like, "Don't you appreciate my father's jokes during shir?" It's like, yeah. Fine. Yeah, so that guy that tries to make tzaras and tries every single combination of isur, so that guy, even though it's much harder for him, he goes, let me try this one out. Let me shecht one simon below the line, and then I'll run up real quickly and do the second simon.
How about the first simon out?
Malika, what?
You're talking about the splashing of the blood.
No. The actual shechita, the actual malika, since the oila, you have to put your thumb through two simanim. He does one below the red line, where the chatas is all done.
He's holding the bird.
Like this, and like this, and he goes like this with his thumb.
In front of the Mishach.
Yeah, on the soiviv. He's standing on the soiviv.
On the soiviv.
Let's say he's standing on the soiviv, and he leans over, goes below the red line, and then he continues pushing through, and he gets to the veshet above the red line. You trying to figure out how it works physically?
No, I'm trying to remember where we learned that the actual shechita is done. I thought it was the way you splash the blood. Yes, where the red line comes.
Yeah, no. You have to be above the red line for the shechita.
Actual shechita.
Yeah, of course.
This is Malika or Shchita?
Malika. Yeah, Malika. So now, if he did one above, one below, it's possible why everybody agrees. Okay, so I'm going to say, I hold, or no, Levi holds that the shechita is considered just the final act of the shechita. So what do I care that he shechted one siman below the red line? I'm above the red line when I did the final siman, and that's the whole shechita, says Levi. Shechita is all the way at the end. So it should be good? No. Even Levi agrees that the shechita is pasul. Why? Because he started out really bad. In other words, chatos only requires one siman, shechita of one siman, and that one siman he did below the red line. So he did a full ma'isa chatos. So that passes it. So where is the machlekes between Levi and Rabbi Yochanan? This is the first attempt. He went outside the Beis Hamikdash, shechted one siman. Let's say he was in the doorstep, like literally a foot away from the Beis Hamikdash. He shechts, and as he's shechting, he runs inside. V'siman echad b'fnim. According to the Mandam, it says that the shechita goes from beginning to end. Now there's an iser, the raisa to shecht. You have a designated carbon. You say this carbon is a oila, and you shecht it outside the Beis Hamikdash, you chayiv kares. So if you say only if you shecht it, but if you say that the shechita is only at the end of the shechita, so he never shechted this animal outside the Beis Hamikdash. Yes, he started, but according to Levi, we only view the last part of it. The last part was inside the Beis Hamikdash. He's not chayiv kares. L'man domay in the shechita b'soif loy mechayiv. Omalei Rabbi Bar Shimi mar lo yom achi. Our Rebbe didn't say like this. Umanu Rebbe Yosef. Rebbe didn't say this. He said, Heichad shochat simon echad bachutz. v'simen echad b'fnim nami pasul. Why? Sharei asa b'maisa chatas soiv b'chutz. Very interesting. Rashi points out, as you corrected me a second ago, the Gemara over here says shachat simen echad b'chutz. How do you shecht a bird? Melika. It doesn't say melika. It says shchita. That's an amazing halacha we learned in Zvachim, that in order to be over kares by doing melika to a bird outside the Beis Hamikdash is not with melika. It's just with a knife. Because if you were to perform melika on a bird outside the Beis Hamikdash, you're not chayiv anything. So if you take a oil saif that's designated and you shecht it with a knife that inside the Beis Hamikdash it's nothing, but you shecht it outside of the Beis Hamikdash because that's the proper way to shecht something outside the Beis Hamikdash, that's when you're chayiv kares. It's just an interesting halacha. It's the opposite of what you would think. Melika doesn't work. That's why it says here, the shachat simin echad b'chutz, v'simin echad b'fnim nami pasol. Why? Shari also b'maisa chatas ha'oiv b'chutz, because since chatas ha'oiv only needs one simin, and you shechted that one simin outside, so even Levi would admit, even Levi who says that the shechit is all the way at the end, he would admit that over here it's pasol. So where is the machlokes between Levi and Rabbi Yochanan? Lo nechliku ela kegon sheshochat miut simanim b'chutz u'gemara b'fnim. Not that he shechted one siman, he shechted part of the two simanim.
The fact that he stands outside the Beis Hamikdash and he says, "I'm doing this as a carbon."
It was a carbon. Not that this is a carbon. It was a carbon. He's taking a carbon.
I'm doing Melika l'Shem Shemayim.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Even though the person they said, "I'm over."
What are you talking about? The Melika part? The actual Melika? Melika doesn't work outside.
Yeah, well, I'm saying.
There is no Melika outside. Melika is a special
chiddush.
chiddush. So what?
So he's not chayiv kares?
Let me ask you something. Forget about a carbon. Let's say you take a chicken and you moilik it. What happens? It's nothing. You made a treif.
Okay.
So you took this thing, you made a treif. You did a mice of cutting off its head with an axe. Just because you said you want to imitate the Beis Hamikdash, it's nothing. That was that whole sugi in Zvachim. We'll go back to Zvachim. Sorry. Says the Gemara. Masav Reb Zera. So now Reb Zera asks a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says that shchita begins and ends, and everything in between is all part of the shchita. Kol ha'asukim ba'para. We're talking about a para aduma. Anybody that deals with the para aduma, anybody that helps out with the para aduma, mitchila v'ad soif, any stage of the para aduma, from the shchita all the way to the burning of the ashes. Anybody that touches, anybody that lifts, anybody that burns, anybody that throws in the azav in the fire, becomes his bgadim, everything on him becomes tummy. Interesting halacha. If you are dealing with the paraduma, you are shechting the paraduma, and as you're shechting the paraduma, you cut off a gourd from the ground, even with that same knife. One swift move, you cut the neck of the animal and you cut the gourd off the ground, or you're mixing something in a bowl with the other hand, whatever, you're texting, whatever it is. You passel the carbon. If texting is a malacha, you passel the carbon because you're distracted. You can't be masiach das. You have to focus on this. And if you're doing something else, there's no such thing as what is it called? Like thinking about two things, doing two things. Like women think they could. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as multitasking. What? Well, there's no such thing.
Moving your feet or something.
No, it has to be another action, another melacha. Rashi's example is cutting a gourd off the ground with a knife. So by doing that, you passel this. The guy, that guy. Remember, the guy in New York had a paraduma. The chassid offered him $1 million. He wasn't religious. He says, "I'm not selling for $1 million. Maybe Mashiach will come. I want to be the owner." So by you cutting something on the ground, you just wasted $1 million. You have to wait until the next paraduma. Says Rashi, let's say you made it in nevela, as you're shechting it, he did hagrama, he did drisa, whatever he did, he made it in nevela. Bein koidim psula, bein lache psula. If you're dealing with the shechita, or you're doing something right afterwards, ein matam begadim. Why? Because we're not dealing with a paradum anymore. Since the shechita was no good, you're looking at a regular animal that died, nothing to do with the paraduma, doesn't have any special tumah. However, if the psul happened on a later stage, ba'az also, right? The paraduma, you're on the Har HaMishcha, you're on Har Zeisim, you're facing the Heichal, and you sprinkle like this 7 times. So if the psul happened b'hazasa, you were doing another malacha, you were cutting watermelon off the ground. Koydem psula metam begadim. So anything up to that point becomes tamei. La'achar psula metam begadim. Now, what's the Gemara's raya? So the Gemara asks, Reb Zera asks on Rabbi Yochanan, if you hold that shchita is one long process, say that shchita, let's say shchita took 10 seconds, just for argument's sake. So the first 5 seconds while it was a good shchita, everything's tamei. And then the second part of the shchita, and then 5 seconds in, he cut the watermelon. So after the 5 seconds, everything is tar, because the shchita is a long process. If you hold shchita is a long process, so then you can divide the shchita in half and say whatever is before the psul, you are tamei. Whatever is after the psul, you're tar. How come the Mishnah doesn't talk about it? The Mishnah only talks about azah. Whatever is before azah is tamei. Whatever is after azah, even within shchita itself, I could be mechalik. Amar Rava, even if you say that shchita is one long process, but if you ruin the shchita all the way at the end, retroactively the left shchita klal. Says Rava Gevaldik. Once the shchita is possible all the way at the end, then it turns out that you never had a shchita at all. So there's no point in time where this was a para aduma. You're talking about a regular cow that got a puzzle shchita. Amaravi kashli, hakashli. Yet, since you mentioned this Mishnah, from here I'll prove a raya not against Rabbi Yochanan like you want to prove, but against Levi. According to Levi, that says that shchita only takes place all the way at the end. Why did you make a distinction between a shchita that's puzzle and a shchita that's kosher? Even if the shchita is completely kosher, I can make a distinction. Kigoin the shachtu b'trei gavri. 2 people shechted. Now he's ignoring the whole thing that we just learned, that 2 people shouldn't shecht. Fine. But let's say 2 people are holding onto a knife, or not holding onto a knife. One person shechted, he passes over the knife to somebody else, and then the second person continues the shchita. The gavri kama loy metama, the gavri basra metama. Since shchita is a long process, according to you, Levi, that shchita only occurs all the way at the end. So Ruvain, who shechted 50% of the simanim, he didn't become tamei. Why? Because shchita only occurs at 51%. So Shimon, who continued the shchita at 51%, he becomes tamei, and Ruvain doesn't become tamei. So the Mishnah say a beautiful case. I have a case where there's 2 people that did the same shchita. One person became tamei, one person didn't become tamei. It's a riddle. How's it possible? One person did 50%, the other person did 51%. Omer of Yosef, Trei Gavri b'chadzivchu k'amres. You can't have 2 people in one. Bar minei dahu ditanino. Tizbach shlo yishnayim shechtim zeh b'chechot. That's what we just learned. Tizbachu shlo yechot shechot shnei zvachim. V'omer Rav Kahana tizbacheu ksiv yidu eim l'mesaris. Tosfos points out that this whole pasuk is only l'chatchila, but b'diavad you could. So how come the Mishnah didn't say a case of where he went and they did it anyways and it's still kosher? Tosfos says it's not shchiach. We didn't want to bring a case like that. Let's just finish. We learned that you can't shecht stimasa. The Stam Mishnah says you can't shecht 2 people at one time. Two people, 1 carbon. So Rav's Kash is a good raya. So then we have a shverkat on Levi. How come the Mishnah doesn't bring a case where 2 people shechted? The first person is tahar, the second person is tamei, and that would be a raya against Levi. What if a person was wearing 2 hats? He had a strimel and then he put on a down hat. So during the strimel is kosher. Why? Because he's not tamei yet. So over here you don't have to come up to 2 people. One person, his first beged is tahar because it's not the end of the shechita yet. The second beged, the second hat he's wearing becomes tamei because that's the end of the shechita, and according to Levi, that's what's passed. Ella says Gemara bepsula parah kamairi bechsher le kamairi. The reason Rav's kash is not a good kash on Levi because the Mishnah in para is only talking about a para that becomes pasul. We're not talking about a party that becomes kosher. That's not the discussion of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is only discussing psul and not kasher. So don't ask me a kasher from a situation where the para is kosher. Have a wonderful day. See you at the board.